What is good? Osiris here, stuck in the middle, and yo, you've got to watch these clips. You got to watch these clips. If you've seen them, you've got to laugh with me. There is this disinformation and the Erosion of Democracy Summit that's going on at the University of Chicago. It looks like University of Chicago Institute of Politics, and it looks like the Atlantic is involved. I don't know if they're sponsoring it or what. Barack Obama's going on. This started yesterday, April 6th, going on to the 8th in Chicago. So they're going to be talking about all kinds of things here. And David Axelrod said disinformation and conspiracy theories turbocharged and micro-targeted by the new tools of social media and big data provide are a clear and present danger to democracies. When some people say democracies, they really mean corporate interest. They mean it's a danger to democracy. You could really change it up and say it's a danger to our corporate interests. They are anti-populist. They are against the people. A lot of them are evil. And Obama famously has spoken out against the internet because the internet kind of started rising up to the end of his second term, and he was very worried about it. They saw this coming before it came. But these clips are crazy to give you insight to how these people think. You think these people care about you? This first clip here is I'm going to get to the Brian Stelter. I'll get there. This first clip is from The Atlantic's Anne Applebaum, and she's a staff writer, senior fellow, and she's with The Atlantic. So somebody came up to her, they're letting people in. They might start having to vet people. I don't want them to. I'm just saying they might start doing it because people are asking legitimate questions. You can't have that. Just like the Tom McDonald song. Your facts aren't facts unless you censor us. Something to that effect in the hook of one of his recent songs. Your facts are not facts unless you censor us. Well, here's the first clip I want to share. Let's watch it.
Let's take.
Amazing. Thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it. I'm Daniel Schmidt. I'm a freshman at the University of Chicago. My question is for Ms. Applebaum. So in 2020, you wrote, "Those who live outside the Fox News bubble do not, of course, need to learn any of the stuff about Hunter Biden," referring to his laptop, of course. A poll later after that found that if voters knew about the content of the laptop, 16% of Joe Biden voters would have acted differently. Now, of course, we know a few weeks ago, the New York Times confirmed that the content is real. Do you think the media acted inappropriately when they instantly dismissed Hunter Biden's laptop as Russian disinformation? And what can we learn from that in ensuring that what we label as disinformation is truly disinformation? Amazing. Thank you for doing this. Really.
Oh, so you want to do a summit on disinformation, right? So let me ask you a question about disinformation. It might not be the type of disinformation that you thought it was. Let's see how she answers this.
Reality.
My problem with Hunter Biden's laptop is I think it's totally irrelevant. I mean, it's not whether it's disinformation or, I don't think the Hunter Biden.
These people are so evil. This is crazy, man. I don't know how else to explain it. I don't want to call people evil. I want to kind of say their actions are evil. Look how nonchalant she is about lying. She lives in a different dimension. This is crazy. Listen, look how nonchalant she is.
My problem with Hunter Biden's laptop is I think it's totally irrelevant. I mean, it's not whether it's disinformation or, I don't think the Hunter Biden's business relationships have anything to do with who should be president of the United States. So I didn't find.
She's saying you're too stupid to know what's relevant to vote for president. She's saying, I didn't think it was relevant, so it's not relevant to you. And if you think it's relevant after I told you it's not, you are the one that's irrelevant. This is dark stuff here. YouTube, you should ban this clip. This is dark. This is dark stuff.
Business relationships have anything to do with who should be president of the United States. So I didn't find.
You don't get to tell me what I make my decision on for president of the United States. I will decide.
I don't find it to be interesting. I mean, that would be my problem with that as a major news story.
We're going to talk about more of this.
It wasn't interesting. What she's saying is it's not relevant until we tell you it's relevant. And if you don't listen to that, you as a human being are irrelevant to me. You're not a part of our democracy, which really means our corporatism. And who cares what happens to you? That's what I get from that clip. Let's get to B. Let's get to Brian, man. This is just as crazy.
Hi, thank you for coming. My name is Christopher Phillips. I'm a first year at the college. My question is for Mr. Stelter. You've all spoken extensively about Fox News being a purveyor of disinformation, but CNN is right up there with them. They pushed the Russian collusion hoax. They pushed the Jussie Smollett hoax. They smeared Justice Kavanaugh as a rapist, and they also smeared Nick Sandmann as a white supremacist. And yes, they dismissed the Hunter Biden laptop affair as pure Russian disinformation. With mainstream corporate journalists becoming little more than apologists and cheerleaders for the regime, is it time to finally declare that the canon of journalistic ethics is dead or no longer operative? All the mistakes of the mainstream media, and CNN in particular, seem to magically all go in one direction. Are we expected to believe that this is all just some sort of random coincidence, or is there something else behind it?
It's too bad. It's time for lunch.
You have 30 seconds.
No, I mean,
Brian.
there's a clock that says 30 seconds. But I think my honest answer to you, and I'll come over and talk in more detail after this, is that I think you're describing a different channel than the one that I watch. But I understand that that is a popular right-wing narrative about CNN. I think it's important when we talk about shared reality and democracy, all these networks, all these news outlets have to defend democracy. And when they screw up,
There we
they
go.
admit it.
There we go. We got to defend democracy. There we go. Corporate interests. We have to defend the things that go against the will of the people is what he's saying right there.
But when Benjamin Hall, the Fox correspondent, was wounded in Ukraine, the news crews at CNN and the New York Times stopped what they were doing, and they tried to help. They tried to help him get out of the country. They tried to find the dead crew members. That's what news outlets do. That's how they actually do work together, to your question about sharing those kinds of connections and trust. We don't talk about it enough, though. We don't share that reality about how that happens.
Why is he turning more red as the time goes on? Look at his face. He's turning more and more red. He wasn't that red when the question started. Oh my goodness. He's trying to smooth it over. He didn't have that. He doesn't have that killer in him like that last woman and Applebaum did. She was nonchalant about it. She was like, I'm a stone cold boss out here. Brian is like struggling and his skin, look how red he is.
And with regards to the regime, I think you mean the President Biden. The last time I spoke with a Biden aide, we yelled at each other. So that's the reality of the...
Oh, so there it is. That's it. That addresses every concern the young man had. The last time what did y'all yell at each other at? About? Like, the last time I talked to a Biden aide, we yelled at each other. There it is. The guy, there's the answer to everything. It's all good. Don't worry about CNN. They're perfectly fine. Everything's up and up. What? He thought it was an own too.
News business that people don't see, that people don't hear. They imagine that it's a situation that simply is not. But I think your question, it speaks to the failure of journalism to show our work and show the reality of how our profession operates. We have a lot of work to do, I think.
Yeah, you do. Now, I have to go against some people online because this came up as soon as this clip started with Brian Stelter. The first thing that he said, he tried to do the little joke here. And, this lunch joke.
It's too bad. It's time for lunch.
You have 30 seconds.
No, I mean...
Brian.
And for people out there, if you're talking about, oh, it was time for lunch, it's probably his third lunch break for the day. And I can't believe he's 36. And calling him your favorite little piggy and all that stuff is not appropriate. And it's not funny. That stuff is not appropriate. And it's not in the least bit funny. Do not, I want to talk about the substance here. I want to talk about the substance part of this. I don't want jokes. I don't want all that kind of little stuff going on. Don't call him a potato. Stop it. He has a response, and listen to his answers here.
There's a clock that says 30 seconds, but I think my honest answer to you, and I'll come over and talk in more detail after this, is that
No, bro, I don't need you to come over and talk to me. You didn't even do enough there for me to want to talk to you.
I think you're describing a different channel than the one that I watch. But I understand that is a popular right-wing narrative about CNN.
What is this thing where Black Lives Matter? Well, where's the money? How do you spend money on these mansions and all over the, this money's being thrown around all over the place. There's 60 million unaccounted for. Oh, that's a right-wing talking point. Okay, fine. Whatever you want to call it. Is it true or not?
I think it's important when we talk about shared reality and democracy.
See, that's the same thing that Ann Applebaum did. We told you it was uninteresting, it shouldn't play a role in how we decide our president, and it's irrelevant. So if you don't share that reality, then you are ostracized. That's the same thing he's going here.
All these networks, all these news outlets have to defend democracy. And when they screw up, admit it. But
defend democracy means be anti-MAGA. That means be against Trump. That's what that means. Why? Not because Trump is some brilliant politician. It's because of who he represents. And he represents people who can control him, not him himself. He represents people who have become anti-corporate in a way.
When Benjamin Hall, the Fox correspondent, was wounded in Ukraine, the news crews at CNN and the New York Times stopped what they were doing, and they tried to help. They tried to help him get out of the country. They tried to find the dead.
What the hell does that have to do with anything? He's talking about all the mistakes and all the lies that CNN, he specifically called them out, that CNN has been a part of. And then he goes to helping out the journalists in Ukraine? What the hell does that have to do with anything?
Crew members. That's what news outlets do. That's how they actually do work together, to your question about sharing those kinds of connections and trust. We don't talk about it enough, though. We don't share that reality about how that happens. And with regards to the regime, I think you mean the President Biden. The last time I spoke with a Biden aide, we yelled at each other. So that's the reality of the news business that people don't see, that people don't hear. They imagine that it's a situation that it simply is not. But I think your question, it speaks to the failure of journalism to show our work and show the reality of how our profession operates. We have a lot of work to do, I think.
And look at that look on his face. He knew it was just an awful moment. Look at that look on his face. I mean, it looks like a cartoon character that's just lost a battle or something. Really telling moment. Man, I liked seeing these people get exposed in front of the world. And there's a lot of people on Twitter with Ukraine flags. I don't know if there's a coincidence or a correlation there, trying to back him up. That's sad too. We live in his reality. In Brian's reality, he is a journalist. He is a journalist with credibility. But what happens is his reality had to meet real reality. That's why they have to censor and vet. You can't ask questions unless we vet your question. Because there's some questions we don't want to have to answer. So pretty soon, they're going to stop them at the door and pre-screen them for these type of things. I'm going to end with this famous quote that's out there on Twitter, and I've heard it. I'm going to end with this famous quote. We know they are lying. They know they are lying. They know that we know they are lying. We know that they know that we know they are lying, and they still continue to lie. Let me know what you think. Take care.